Hello and welcome. My name is Adam Levy, and this is Guitar Tips, my weekly video blog channel. I post a new tip here each Friday. Please subscribe. That's the best way to keep up on all of the weekly guitar tips. And without further ado, here is this week's tip. Practice without your guitar. If you look down below in the description, there's a paragraph of text. I'm going to read that to you now, and then I'll elaborate on it a little bit. People today lead busy lives, and many have long daily commutes. It may be hard to get to the guitar every day, but you can still hone your musical skills. Stuck in traffic? Turn on a metronome and tap your fingers in time. Put on hold, hum along with the music, however cheesy it may be. And I've definitely heard some cheesy hold music. And try to hear the intervals that comprise the melody. The point here is that there are growth opportunities in front of us all the time, even when the guitar isn't. I recently saw a cartoon, and the caption was something like, "It's not just about having resources, it's about knowing how to use them." And the illustration was a guy trying to climb over a wall, and he had piled up, horizontally 20 or 30 or 50 ladders until he could stand up on top of the pile of ladders and then climb over the wall. So here's a guy who has a lot of resources. He somehow has access to lots and lots of ladders, but he just doesn't have the insight to use the ladder the way it's meant to be used, where he could just stand one ladder up against the wall and climb over the wall. And time is a kind of a resource. So whether you have a lot of time or not much time, you want to make sure you're using that time the best way that you can. So if you have an hour a day to practice the guitar, that's great. If you have 2 hours or 8 hours or whatever, wonderful. I hope that if you have a good amount of time, that you will use it well. But it's just as important when you have little time or no time to use whatever resource, whatever time resource you have to improve on the guitar, even if you can't get your hands on the strings. So that's what this is about, really. A friend of mine in New York, he's a drummer. He lives in an apartment building. He really can't practice drums in his building. And for whatever reason, he doesn't really like to go elsewhere to practice. You can rent a room or what have you, but for him, what it has turned into is when he's preparing for a gig, all of his practice really happens in his mind. He may pick up the sticks and hit a pad a little bit, but really he's just trying to learn the songs. He may take some notes on a piece of paper, which he can bring to the gig or not, but sometimes mapping stuff out on paper, in other words, taking a song and just writing intro, 4 bars, first verse, 12 bars, second verse, 12 bars, chorus, 16 bars, re-intro, 4 bars, and etc. And just making a whole map. Sometimes just the process of doing it can help you understand the song better. Whether or not you take that piece of paper with you to the gig, that's up to you. But anytime you listen to music, it's an opportunity to think about the melody and imagine, even if it's a vocal melody, even if it's not a guitar thing, could you play it on the guitar? How would that melody take shape on the fingerboard? Or how would the chord progression that you're hearing take shape on the fingerboard? What are the chords and how would you play them? Time is, now I mean time in the musical rhythmic metric sense of time, not just time on your watch, but improving your sense of time is really easy to do without the guitar. As I said in the text, just turn on a metronome and tap your fingers, or subdivide in your head. If the metronome is clicking like this, think about what eighth notes are like, and think about what eighth note triplets are like. And go back and forth between 2 different kinds of rhythms, and see if you can start to feel that shift in your body. even without the guitar in your hands. You could make up whatever exercises you want. That's not a particularly special exercise. I'm just giving an example of ways that you could spend your time working on your time. So that's really it. I hope this makes sense to you. I always try and have these tips. I always try and explain them in a way that makes sense to me. I hope they make sense to you, and hope that you'll put them into practice. They're not meant to be just ideas that you kind of nod your head and go, oh yeah, that's an interesting idea. I hope that you'll actually put them into practice. That's really what it's all about. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Adam Levy. This is Guitar Tips. If you want to see what I'm up to online as far as gigs and music that I'm releasing and such, you can go to my website, adamlevy.com. If you want to drop me a note, my email is lessons@adamlevy.com. Take good care, stay tuned, and be yourself.